There's the fish I caught.
Oh, it's buying premium chat.
And there's there's one with my leg beside it for comparison.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah. Womp womp.
I doxed my feet. No, I didn't. Welcome, everyone, to episode 37 of the Migtown podcast, your only weekly source for producers with pathetically small fish. As always, I'm producer Tim, and joining me is the mayor of Migtown, Drexel. Say hi.
Hello, everybody.
Also joining us in the studio today, is it Cress or Crumb? Which one do you want to be known as?
Either one, whatever is good for you guys.
We'll go with Cress. So we have Cress in the studio with us today. You're the host of, it's called the Knuckleheads, right?
Yeah, Knuckleheads, yes. You got it.
Yeah, we have the host of the Knuckleheads. You're also involved with Kitchener Comic-Con, are you not?
I was, yeah. Not anymore, but I was.
Do you want to go into a little bit of detail about that?
I was, it was COVID that killed large part of it, but just a basic disagreement with how to run the business. And considering it's not my business to run, I just decided to not be a distraction and move on to different projects. So,
what would you do when you used to be there? And holy shit, am I ever coming in loud?
I used to be the media coordinator, pretty much like second in command. Basically ran mostly half of the operations and guest relations and stuff. So I was like fairly involved.
Would promotion be under your portfolio?
It would be, yeah.
So it was your fault if the thing was either successful or a failure.
You could say that, yeah. I had pretty much a large part in making that, making it a success or a failure. So,
Drex, over to you.
Maybe we're gonna get right into it and just go straight in for the fist.
Drex never gives you just the tip. He goes right in.
Yeah. This is unlubed, Chris. We're gonna get straight into topic of the day.
Fantastic.
Of the week. Chris Chan. So Chris Chan. We're not gonna get into what happened with Chris Chan. We're just gonna talk about Chris Chan plus.
He's a real motherfucker.
Yeah, that dude, man. Well, I'm sure you've heard about the whole issues with the, is Chris Chan going to be going to men or women's prison, blah, blah, blah. Now, I hope Chris Chan goes to women's prison. And that begs the question.
I think you're getting ahead of yourself. I don't think Chris Chan's going to prison at all.
Probably not.
I think Chris Chan is going to a likely padded room for a very long time.
You think so?
I think Chris Chan should have been in a padded room for a very long, long time.
Oh, I agree.
But Chris Chan is the internet's kind of pet. Would that be an accurate statement?
I think we're seeing, like, if this was a South Park episode, because just take the Britney Spears and replace it with Chris Chan, because that's what we're seeing right now. Like, Chris Chan's literally being sacrificed to the corn right now. Like, quite literally. I don't know, because like I haven't really followed any of it. Like, I've somehow avoided the entire Chris Chan mess. Like, I've stepped the minefield of like 1,000 mines, and I've missed every single one of them. So like, I guess I should buy a lottery ticket. But I only found out about Chris Chan when the news came out, and it's like, wow, this is kind of ridiculous. And looking into it, it's like, yeah, this has been a problem for a very long time. Everyone's known about it, and like now people are like actually concerned about it. I don't know. It's that's a yikes.
Would you say the Chris Chan saga is like internet determinism? Like, this was the inevitable outcome. Eventually, the internet was going to push him so hard and so far that something like this was inevitable.
Oh, 100%. I mean, like this is 100% enableism. Like, this is people trying to make the person see as what they'll put in their mouth, kind of thing. At this point, and I guess we found out.
The phraseology.
Yeah, right. I was waiting for the Archer phrasing.
I think that's what we're seeing here. Unfortunately, you have a mentally unstable individual that has been enabled by their parents to create this fantasy world, and to a point where like they actually believe that they live within it. And then you have the internet just, being the internet, and like, we'll see how far this can go. But I don't think a lot of people kind of grasped how completely fucking psychotic someone can be. And I think we've seen it, right? We've seen it multiple different times. Like we had Gacy, we had like literally Ed Gain, we had Paul Bernardo, like all these people that are like literally on the fraction of reality, like psychotic people that just get enabled and they don't get stopped. And I'm surprised that Chris Chan literally has only done this. I mean, maybe if they start digging in the backyard, they'll find skeletons. Who knows?
I mean, I hope they find something, because like I never knew who this guy was until Nick showed me, and I just remember looking and being like, the whole time, every time that someone said something new about him, I'm like, "Are you serious? Are you serious? Are you serious?" Like,
that's what I'm saying.
You're right. They basically just pushed. So okay, clearly this person has mental issues, right?
Oh,
clearly.
100%.
And you're basically having a bunch of people who are egging on someone that they know has mental issues. So it's like how much of that do you put on Chris Chan versus the enablers?
Well, the problem here, and I've mentioned this before in some discussions, and it ruffles people's feathers, because when you talk about psychopathy, when you talk about mental illness and stuff like this, right? They don't have mental faculties to understand what they're doing. I don't believe that Chris Chan at any fucking level has any gravity or grasp of reality of what they've been doing this entire time. So to hold them accountable for that'd be like holding a dog accountable for like running the United States. I mean, I know you guys have one in office right now, but
right,
it would literally be that.
Suck it, Drexel.
It would literally be that. Like you can't look at things rationally, because Chris Chan is not operating in reality. Chris Chan is operating in their own little world that they've made up, and they are clearly a danger to themselves and others. And you can't hold them responsible for that, because they don't have the ability to rationalize. And that's a huge problem.
I mean, all that being said, you fucked your mom. I can't let that slide. Like someone can tell me any story, because I'm like, if you thought it was okay, you would have been doing it for a prolonged period of time, right? But because you did it, because internet trolls or whoever egged you on to do it, I'm looking at you sideways like, bruh, you smashed your mom though. Like,
well, like
this is
like some Lord of Simpson Cucks posted it. This is 100% the fucking Joker movie in real life right now. Like this is 100%. It's literally someone like if you've watched the movie, like he just doesn't see reality in the same way that everybody else does. It's a movie, and it's whatever. So yeah, he might have, like, Chris Chan might have smashed his mom or whatever. Like, yeah, in his mind, like, he's not doing anything wrong. And that's like not a thing that you think twice about in his world, which is bizarre to understand. It's hard to wrap your head around what the thought process would go through that. Like, I'm understanding that Chris Chan appeared in court, and the judge was like trying to get answers or asking him questions, and like, well, I can't. And Chris Chan's biggest thing is, well, I need to go get my things from my house. I need to go get my things. I'm not comfortable. I have to get my things. You're going to a fucking place where, do you think they're going to let you have a fucking PS4? Do you think they're going to let you like have your little fucking Sonichu medallion? Jesus Christ. Like, no way. The disconnect from reality is just like, it's so fucking far beyond even like begin to understand.
The problem is that we don't have a real way to deal with people like this. We honestly don't, because the cost of properly dealing with someone like Chris Chan cannot be recouped in any other way, not physically or not even in the damage averted. Right? Like, can you put a cost on the value of raping your dementia-riddled mother? Not really.
No,
I can't put a number on that. I can't put money on that.
No.
But and obviously, everyone on the internet, every internet keyboard warrior is going to be like, we could just shoot him. And it's like, is that really a solution?
Well, that doesn't fix anything.
No, it doesn't. And it's a waste of bullets. It's a waste of good bullet. Man, ammunition is expensive now. Don't you know that?
Oh yeah, you got to really hate a motherfucker.
Well, but though, we gotta be fair. Also, Lord of Simpson Cuck said, he did steal the money from his mom, right? There was that wire transfer, and and he did get a hotel. He was hiding from police, right? So he is fully self-aware.
No, now, the money wasn't for that. So the from what I understand, because, and this is credit to Josh, who runs Kiwi Farms, for sharing the information. The conversation was that Josh was trying to start a GoFundMe to get Chris Chan over to some convention so that he could do some art and start making money and live independently and do that for himself. And so he had that, and then Chris Chan wanted to buy something, get some money. There was some phrasing that Chris Chan used of like some sort of divine gift or whatever bullshit nonsense. And he took the $750 and then when Josh found out about it, Josh was like, "What the fuck? I'm like doing this for you. Like, what the fuck are you doing?" And they said, "Well, I was going to give the money back when I got the GoFundMe money." It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. Like, there is a degree of like plotting there, but like that, it's such a disconnect of like, it's Chris Chan understands that certain things have consequences. Like, she might hear whatever it is at this point, because the thing look it fell off the fucking back of a delivery truck. Chris Chan seems to have some idea. I'm allowed. I have the card.
Chris, you are a transphobe.
I'm allowed. I got the card. So like literally, so Chris Chan understands that, I am under heat right now. Like I'm under, like, watch people are coming after me. I have to go into protect mode. They might not understand, like they might not agree that what they did was wrong, but they understand they're being told that it's wrong. So it's like it's one of those things, like they understand, like they don't understand that, their little world doesn't exist, but they do, but they believe that, someone threatening to bomb their make-believe world, I can't even begin to understand the thought process behind all of it, because it's like I said, the Joker movie is a perfect example, because like Arthur can see, like, when police are coming after him, he doesn't see just like circus clowns. He sees that the police are there, but he doesn't connect that he's done something incorrect for that to happen. He just thinks he's justified in doing it. So like, I'm pretty sure that whatever the hell Chris Chan was doing was like, they believed they were justified in having sex with their mom. They believed that they were justified in taking money because they needed it, and that again is not necessarily conducive to show a correlation between having understanding of what you were doing and just being like, well, I'm going to justify this by some ridiculous reason.
I mean, I've seen this delusion before. Lizzo thinks she's a beautiful woman.
Exactly.
You are welcome, Drex.
Well, here's the thing: is that we were talking about this in the live Q&A. There is a parallel here, right? Like, you'll have people who say, "Hey, Chris, you need to accept me and love me and be attracted to me because I am 500 pounds and twerking." And then everyone's going, "This looks hideous." And no, I'm strong, independent, I'm beautiful, I'm bold. And everyone's like looking around like she's twerking at Lakers games. Everyone's like, this is awful. So what ends up happening is they have people in their DMs deluding them, right? Like, "Oh, you're a queen, you're sexy." And here's the reason why I say all these people are fully self-aware, right? Because when they're left alone to their own thoughts, you can see it. Lizzo has come out and talked about how lonely she feels, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And how, she doesn't like her body. So clearly she's self-aware. So what you're witnessing is loud insecurity, not, You're not witnessing confidence, right? Because if you think about it, confidence is usually quiet. Like a person doesn't announce. It's kind of like with money, right? If you have a person who has tons of money, they don't walk around announcing all day, every day. Hey, look at my net worth. You see what I'm saying? Like Jeff Bezos just goes around and he knows I'm Jeff freaking Bezos, right? And whereas Lizzo will try to pretend that like, oh, I'm so sexy, but it's like, Lizzo, no one's attracted to that. Here's the thing: the guys that you want aren't attracted to that, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Because if they were, this is where, especially with black women in particular, they get really it strikes a chord with the whole black girl magic. If your black girl magic was so great, how come all of you are single?
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden now you have to move the goalpost, right? Men just can't handle me, but you have to move it because otherwise.
No, the reason they're single. The reason they're single is you listen to 4 seconds of them talking, and it sounds like a pack of dogs barking.
Yeah. It's not just exclusive to the German Shepherds of the world either. You look at literally anywhere, like these fucking psycho feminists with the pixie blue haircut bullshit nonsense that they spew all the time. They are entitled to relationships. They don't need men, they don't want men, but they're entitled to relationships. Everyone should want them. Everyone should want them working for them, but they're fucking lunatics.
Well, and you always hear about how miserable they are. Like, I always point to Fresh and Fit because I think Fresh and Fit does a great job of showing like basically like the beginning and end result of feminism, right? Like, it doesn't matter because sometimes they have women who are a little older, sometimes a little younger, but it's like at the end of the day, you can see that same mindset and where it's leading, right? And it's like you do know that your mindset is only going to lead you to misery, right? And when you look at like the Chris Chan situation, it's kind of like ideology leads you to misery. So the same people who are all pro Chris Chan and the whole trans thing, right? The issue now has popped up yet again with where is Chris Chan going to be housed for prison? And earlier today, I was actually sent an article about the whole inmate thing from the Daily Wire. And it said, the headline reads, "Female inmate pregnant after being forced to share prison, prison cell with biological men claiming to be transgender," right? But now, Cress, let's face it. Is this not exactly what they said? Remember, gender is a social construct. Gender is how you feel, not what your biology says you are, right? So by default, this is their own ideology collapsing on itself.
What I will say, just before we get into the discussion of should it have happened, I'll say something that a lot of people are really afraid to talk about, period. And I can do it because of my situation. I don't think that Chris is trans. I don't think that Chris has the mental faculty or grasp of reality to even understand or declare that about themselves. I think that Chris saw what being trans does for people and adopted that into their personality. And that is, again, that's not being trans. That's not like, being born one thing and being whatever, feeling the other, whatever else. There's other things to just being trans than just coming out and saying I'm trans. I think
trans is more than an attention grabber.
Big fucking surprise. I know.
Yeah, we should actually talk to Ken about this one because you're right. There, trans is how you cure gender dysphoria.
Well, it's supposed to. It doesn't always. Yeah.
And so your assertion is that Chris Chan, with his limited mental faculties, can't possibly have gender dysphoria because he doesn't understand the nuance of anything.
Well, pretty much. I mean, here's the thing, right? We're talking about an individual who literally believes that Sonichu and whatever that world is that they created is reality. So please explain to me if Chris Chan can just dream up and literally believe that a fabrication is real, then what is gender dysphoria in the realm of Chris Chan? Then just an inconvenience at that point. Because in Chris Chan's world, Chris Chan can be whatever Chris Chan wants. Right? Theoretically, if we're talking about being in control of one's own mind. But the idea here is we look into the sociopathy / psychopathy of this. Chris Chan sees on the internet, in the news, in whatever else, Chris Chan sees the concessions being made for people in that scenario, and then adapts that and says, well, now that's mine. Now I want that. Now I want the things that come with that. It's the same thing they're talking about. It's like when Chris Chan knows that, if I take money from my mother who can't understand, I'm going to get away with that. I'm going to get what I want. It's not like a conscious, like, I know that that's wrong, but I'm going to do it anyways. It's just I'm going to do things to get me to what I want to get, like of what I want to get out of things. So I don't think for a second,
a lack of impulse control also?
It is 100% lack of impulse control. 100%. That's what we're seeing.
That begs the question that Koopa asked that I was going to ask you also was, what are your thoughts on someone like, say, Ellen, who is now Elliot Page?
That shit like really pisses me off, because for people like that because like Ellen, when she was Ellen, did the whole like, oh, I'm gay thing, praise me, I'm gay. Yep. I'm working so hard in a man's world and blah 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 blah. And then when that well dried up, then she transitioned, oh, I'm trans now. It's so hard, blah 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 blah. Like, shut the fuck up.
Yep.
Shut the fuck up. You are the most privileged fucking white fucking bitch in the goddamn entire Hollywood. Like, I guarantee you she didn't have to suck one dick to get where she was.
Yeah, probably not.
Like, I guarantee it. And like, yep. and here now he is riding this fucking wave. Like, oh, now I'm gonna come out as trans. I'm gonna do all this stuff. Like, bullshit. Like, you're trans, fine. That's okay. Be trans. Don't like just no one in the fucking world cares if Elliot Page is a man now.
Yep.
Nobody.
Literally nobody.
World. And like her wife, who she married when she was a woman,
now divorced.
Literally married because it was a woman, and now like, oh, I'm gonna throw that away because I want more attention. Yep. Like, fuck off. It's selfishness.
Well, Chris, one of the
now she can get divorced raped like a man. Yeah, right. That guy's a good point. Like, who do we want to lose in the divorce court in this case, Drex? Who are we cheering against?
Well, okay, so by default, you're actually in this weird position where you're kind of rooting against Elliot, because here's why. When Elliot was, and this kind of goes to what Chris was saying, when it was Ellen Page, Ellen used to say a lot of the patriarchy and men are bad. And Chris, I've seen this throughout my life. People will say something that's so horrible, right? And in this case, men are bad, man bad. And then yet, what did Ellen Page eventually become? A man, right?
Exactly.
It's similar to when you hear people who always talk about how much you'll see this with like non-white people, right? You'll have Indians, blacks, whatever. They talk about how much they hate white people and white people are so evil. And then first chance they get, they try to rush into a relationship with a white person, right?
Yeah.
And so you're like, wait a minute. I thought this was your oppressor. You're this is all so awful, blah, blah, blah. And then they try to move the goalpost, right?
Absolutely.
Love knows no color. Or in Ellen's case, love knows no gender, or my self-identity. And oh, shut up. That's just kind of, it's ridiculous. And we actually saw this coming, right? Where, you started seeing a push from Hollywood. Chris, do you remember when it was all about adopting kids, and they became I don't know. Before adoption, it was all about the craziest celebrity kid names, right? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. After that, lost steam.
Elon Musk kind of won that competition.
Yeah, and that's just ridiculous also. But what ends up happening is the goalpost moved. Naming your kid some weird name, okay, that wasn't enough anymore. You had to go further. So the new thing became adopting children, right? And then it was like, adopting and or giving them a weird celebrity name, right? Mm-hmm. And then someone goes, okay, so then what happened? That wasn't enough. They had to be, ethnically, they'd be a different ethnic group, right? So we had to adopt black and brown kids and Asian kids or whatever, and give them, and the names usually weren't that weird once they adopted a kid from Africa or Asia, right? Or India. Then that wasn't enough. No, now these kids that you adopt need to be trans. If someone can't see how obvious this is, I don't know what to tell you. It's really getting ridiculous because
the frustrating part about it is like great. There's more fucking insert minority person here. Cool. Every time one of these fucksticks comes out and says, "Oh, I'm this, I'm that, I'm rainbow, I'm blah 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 blah," it makes it fucking 10 times more difficult for anyone else who's legitimately part of that to fucking live their life, because then we're constantly being barraged by nonsense, that stuff, like the lunacy stuff that they do. It's like, no, like just keep it to yourself. No one fucking cares who you're having sex with. No one cares what the hell's in your pants, or if you decide to change that. Like, I wish these people would stop being so fucking selfish and so much fucking attention whores. Like, go out and make your stupid movies and shut up. Like, no one cares.
Then they wouldn't be celebrities.
Yeah, that's true.
Like you're asking for it would be easier to change the DNA of these celebrities than to ask them to stop seeking attention. That's Drex, you have to understand why these people are such complete failures. Why they're always releasing sex tapes of themselves, why they're always in rehab and doing a mountain of cocaine. It's all for attention.
Well, a lot of it boils down to self-hate, though. A lot of these celebrities hate themselves. Lizzo hates herself. You have people like Lolo Jones putting out thirst traps because she's about to turn 40 next year, and Sharon Stone has thirst traps.
The difference between hating yourself and wanting attention, it's the projection of that hatred, right? So Lizzo hates herself, but then puts herself on every magazine, on every tweet. She's tweeting, bikini pictures of herself, which are gross. Don't look at them. Whereas if people who want to hate themselves but don't want the attention, they'll do things like cutting, suicide attempts, downing fucking antidepressants like they're mints.
Yep. Well, and you'll see the parallels though between celebrities and Chris Chan in this situation. Because
Agreed.
they're getting what they want out of it. Celebrities are getting the attention and the money because that's an addiction. They need money to feed their lifestyles. They need that attention. They need that constant reaffirmation, right? They need the constant reinforcement of that toxic positivity. And you have the Chris Chan who's getting the attention because that's what Chris Chan wants. That's the currency for Chris Chan.
Somewhere deep inside that brain of his, I do believe that he is more aware of his surroundings than he leads on, and that he plays up. He plays up a little bit. And I really don't have any evidence or proof of this. It's just it's from 30 years of just observing people who abuse welfare, who abuse disabilities, who abuse any minor victimization aspect of themselves.
Oh, I think at one point in existence that might have been one form of Chris Chan. I think we're witnessing possibly the final form. I think it has been coerced and it's been seasoned so much in that brain that there is there is no reality left. I mean, there might have been at one point some time to salvage a human being out of that creature. I think that part is like years gone at this point, unfortunately. And like we said, we lack the ability to compassionately deal with stuff like this. I mean, we used to have institutions that humanely dealt with individuals like this, but we've since gone away from that for a number of reasons. Like, number one, because it costs too much, but other things of like it getting abused, people just permanently being a part of the entire situation and never having any way out, like physical abuse, mental abuse, etc. But I agree with you. I think at one point Chris Chan might have been aware about what's going on, but if you've ever been in a situation, because like I have the unique opportunity being on Twitch. When I first started Twitch, I started streaming in like the Pokemon categories, just because like I used to play those games and they used to get a lot of attention. But what I noticed very quickly is that most of the streamers in the Pokemon area, they would get partner on Twitch and then get the fuck out of it really quickly, because they would be forced to be positive Every single time that they're on the camera, they could never have a bad day. They could never have a bad match. If they get their asses kicked, they have to smile and pretend like they're super happy about it because that's what they were forced to do to perform in front of the audience. And like, if you're in that long enough, then you just fucking brainwash yourself. And I think that's a lot what's happened to Chris Chan here, is that Chris Chan is just performing for the crowd and has lost whatever fucking humanity it had at one point.
Yeah, the benefit is that he doesn't ever have. Drex, you would know something about this, especially like this is I'll call it German Shepherd syndrome. But when you exist in a reality that has literally no consequences for the most insane fuck shit you can think of,
Yeah.
Without the consequences, you never get that. It's like haptic feedback, right? Where you know that you fucked up and you have to fix it, or you're just gonna die, right? You'll either be homeless and starving, or someone will just deal with you. But like German Shepherds, Chris Chan just never gets that feedback.
It's because everything that's been going on has been on the internet. There is no feedback for shit on the internet.
I was thinking that too, Chris. We talked about that briefly. With, in the real world, consequences come immediately because usually, think about it, usually in the real world, you're right up in someone's face, right? Or the person has some form of like direct access to you, right? Someone said something about you at work. The next day you showed up at work, you confronted them, right?
Yeah.
In the internet world, anyone and everyone can be a texting tough guy, right? A keyboard warrior. So all of a sudden, you don't it's so hard to get that that hard consequence. The only thing that you can really do now is basically try to do everything as passive aggressive, right? I'm gonna Crest, I'm gonna nuke your channel by doing some kind of strike against it. So now people don't even
I'll call your boss and tell them.
Your boss.
The Ken Jennings treatment.
The Ken Jennings shit, which is garbage. So it feeds into cancel culture, whereas it's because you're not. So the lack of accountability has caused the ultimate accountability, which is basically it's one-sided now. You get canceled, you're done forever, even without due process.
100%.
And that's unfortunate. And all of that comes from the internet, and it's like
the internet makes it possible.
Absolutely. It's a conduit. The internet access is this one giant conduit to all of this like basically like the worst parts of human behavior and the best parts. Because think about it. So here's a prime example, Chris. Someone goes through something somewhere. There's a GoFundMe set up. And everyone goes, man, you know what, Chris, this could never happen without the internet, right? I mean, you can just GoFundMe 30 years ago because you wouldn't know that some random person had something horrible happen to him, right?
Now, hang on.
It would be harder to do.
True, a lot harder. I think cancel culture was possible before the internet.
Oh, no. Cancel culture was always
especially
existed.
in small town, right? So
it absolutely existed. Absolutely.
Let's say a powerful family wants to go after maybe the third most powerful family in a small town. And so they'll just, you could just make up a bullshit accusation about them or about a business deal gone wrong or whatever. The problem with executing that plan, though, is you knew who was doing it. So the other people can come back and say, well, that family's just ass hurt because I won the bid for the wheat quota for that season.
Of course. But once again, it goes back to what I said. The other side is aware who's making the accusation, and they can directly respond, right? Physically. So whereas in the internet era, the flip side of GoFundMe, the dark side of it is what's the flip side of human nature? Okay, hey Chris, I'm gonna pretend I'm gonna stage something for attention, right? And attention and validation and sympathy. People donate money, and then I just take the money and skate out like a bat out of hell, right? And someone goes, why would someone do something like that? It's like easy.
Absolutely. It happens all the time.
All the time. And someone goes, well, why? Why would someone do it? It's like, dude, because the internet has made it easier to do certain things, and that comes for better and for worse. Like, child predators have always been around, but certain things that they can do because of the technology, it makes certain things easier. Also, it can make it easier to track. You see what I'm saying? Like, so it always works on a double-edged sword. And it's unfortunate that some of these things happen, but it's like you see these things, they transpire, and you're just kind of like, man, like this is our current society. And speaking of the current society, I do have the question for you, Chris. Tell us what it's like being in your corner of the world in Canada in terms of living, dating, working. Like what is just like the biggest thing that you could say, this is Canada. These are the changes I've seen in Canada.
Oh boy. Changes that I've seen in Canada. I mean, it's interesting because like it's more or less just getting older. I'm noticing a lot more nonsense. Like just there's a lot more fucking disregard for humanity, period. Like if someone can save $1 on a fucking ham hock steak, they will fucking get someone fired over it. They don't care. Like years ago, there used to be decency. Years ago, there used to be like companies, for example, would stand up for employees. There'd be loyalty. And now there's nothing. There's nothing at all. And companies demand loyalty out of their employees, but in return give nothing. And they listen to literal nobody. Like a literal fucking person that doesn't exist can write a fucking scathing review about an employee, and without them looking it up, without them doing any investigation, they'll terminate or they'll punish the employee. Like this is so fucking backwards from where it was business wise like 50 years ago. And I don't know if this is just exclusive to Canada, because like
it's not.
We have to
I mean, it's exactly what happened to Ken, right?
Yeah, it's exactly what happened to Ken. Like, but we see it all the fucking time. Like I see it in my workplace now all the time. It doesn't matter. We literally have people walking out with computers without paying for it, and we can't do anything because if we do anything, we lose our job. But if we don't try to do something, then we're in risk of losing our job. Like it's such a fucking weird situation that we're in now.
Something that happened more so in Canada than the US. Chris, we noticed that our neighbors are such goddamn narcs.
Oh, absolutely.
Like when we had the COVID lockdowns, if you had, even if it looked like there were more than 6 people at your house, there was 8 people calling 911 on your street.
Oh yeah. It literally it is so true, and I see it the same thing again with people who shop. If they see someone else doing something that like blah 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 blah, masks or whatever else. Oh, that person's not wearing a mask. Why aren't you telling them? Why aren't you telling them that they have to wear a mask? Like fuck off. Like just mind your own fucking business. If they're not wearing a mask, don't fucking go near them. Like piss off. Who fucking cares? There's so much of everyone worried about what's on everyone else's plate. Like people need to mind their own fucking business. And I don't know what the hell it's been in the past 15, 20 years, but in Canada, at least, we have gotten so fucking far up each other's asses about nonsense. And like COVID's exasperated it because like, we're just like looking for blood.
The whole politeness thing is non-existent.
No,
non-existent anymore.
100%.
The whole small town hospitality, that's not a Canadian thing. That was never what the whole Canadian stereotype on politeness was about. Because I mean, you go down to Louisiana, you'll see small town hospitality.
Oh Jesus Christ! When I went to I think it was North Carolina. No, it was South Carolina. It was South Carolina. Went down to Atlanta. Like holy shit! Like the Tennessee. I was in Tennessee. I was in Kentucky. Like that is fucking hospitality. Let me tell you something. People say that Canadians are polite. Like holy fuck, I could go down to fucking any city in Kentucky and have a conversation with a complete stranger, and they're just the nicest fucking person offering me fucking dinner. Like it is light and dark, night and day from what it is here in Canada right now.
Yeah. Oh geez. Like I was driving through Bangor, Maine. Because it's quicker to get to it's quicker to get to your neck of the woods, Chris, from New Brunswick by going through the U.S.
Oh, it absolutely.
So I go, I drive through Bangor, Maine, and it's really late at night. I'm looking for a place to stay, and I first thing I do is I see the first hotel I see or inn. I pull in, ring the bell, and the owner comes out. We have like a 30-minute chat, and in that time, unfortunately, they didn't have any room available. But then he picks up the phone and calls another hotel across town and asks them if they've got a room available. He says, okay, here's how you get there. You just, go up this road, turn here, and you'll see them on the right. And they said they got a place waiting for you. And I'm like, oh, wow.
That's really awesome.
Small town Montana, right? Small town Montana, small town North Dakota. Like, I've driven through them all. I didn't know how to use American gas pumps with my Canadian credit cards because, they ask for the zip code, right?
Yeah.
And I just go inside and pay the clerk because I didn't know how to use the automated pump machine. Finally, I'm in this 100-person town in Montana, and the clerk's just like, "Oh, we have the machine on the pump, right?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, but it keeps asking for a zip code." And he goes out and shows me like, "Oh, here's how apparently you can translate your Canadian postal code into an American zip code for the pump, and it will accept it."
Shit. That's pretty cool.
Nice.
And basically you just take the numbers of your postal code and then add 2 zeros, and the pump will accept that.
Oh, there you go.
Nice.
So if you didn't know that before, that's a life hack for Canadians traveling to the US. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you something that happened. This happened a little while ago, not recently, but it was before COVID, before we were confined to our homes for the rest of our lives. But I was out like in the park that I have nearby my house, just playing like Pokemon Go, right? In the big Pokemon Go craze. And I'm just out there just like walking and chucking Pokeballs at things. And like I hear like as I'm walking, like it's the middle of the fucking day. Like it's like 2:00, sun's out, everyone's out in the fucking park. It's just a nice day. I hear someone calling for help, and I look up, and there's a guy covered in fucking blood, has another guy in a fucking headlock, and he's asking for help. So I go over, I'm like, what the hell's going on? The guy's like, he's like, can you please call the police? He's like, please. He's like, I've been asking for half an hour, like no one's paying any attention. And so I call the police. This dude, like, the guy who had the guy in the headlock had a fucking beer bottle smashed over his head by this other dude who has like in a fucking headlock for a half an hour. And like there's families around, there's like people walking right past this guy acting like it's just nothing's going on, like everyone's just ignoring him. I'm like, what the fuck is going on right now?
You know what, I gotta be honest though, Chris, I would do the same thing. I would not help this guy. I really wouldn't, because
Drex, how many times have we seen a video where you try to step in and you just catch the wrong end of a bullet or a knife?
Hey, Chris,
the fight was already done.
I know what you're saying. On principle, because here's the thing: if you step into a situation that you don't fully know what's going on, because someone say, help, you step in, you can wind up getting yeeted.
Oh, absolutely.
Or, something could, you don't know what that something is. Something could happen, right? There's a 50-50 chance. There's a 100% chance that nothing will happen if you just don't get involved.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
And that kind of happens for better and for worse, like in life, just as like a general rule of life. And I meant to ask you, how are Canadians being affected by the lockdowns in your neck of the woods? Because I mean, you guys went through some of the strictest of all, like you in the cucked UK.
We got it better than most. Yeah, Ontario's a fucking gong show. It was bad, mostly because Toronto is just full retard. Like if you take out Toronto, the rest of Ontario is not a problem. Like 99% of our COVID cases came out of Toronto and the GTA. Like fucking bar none. You look at every other city. Well, now my region, like Waterloo region's getting up there because everyone from Toronto is fucking coming here.
It's that fucking. Well, they restarted the GO train, right?
They did finally. They finally did. So we're opening up again. But basically, in the big heat of everything being locked down, big crack in the whip of everything, blah blah blah. Toronto was in the quote unquote gray lockdown zone, and the rest of Ontario was fairly like open, but not completely open. So everybody from Toronto would just go everywhere else because they couldn't shop in Toronto. They couldn't get their hair done. They couldn't get their nails done. They couldn't go out and fucking stand in Costco for 6 hours. So they'll go to Hamilton. They go to Niagara Falls. They go to Kitchener. They go to Waterloo. They go to Cambridge. They go to London. They go literally everywhere and spread their fucking cases everywhere. And so like, and that led to an entire province-wide lockdown, which we're finally getting out of. But now they're threatening a fourth fucking wave. So I have no idea where the hell we're going to be in another fucking 6 months.
Oh, God. Well, I asked that because I know that you guys have dealt with stuff because I've been to Canada And one of the things that I was going to ask you is, in terms of obviously living and working in Canada and dealing with COVID, with what happened, having Trudeau, but the dating lifestyle in Canada,
Screen cap something.
I've noticed that it's all kinds of out of whack because like I say, especially within the city, right? Toronto, Vancouver, like the major cities, right? But one of the things I noticed there was like if you're not out in the country,
oh, that's funny.
it's just weird.
That's great. No, Drex, see, dating in Canada is weird because we don't have German shepherds like America does. We have a black population, but it's not very large, and Native women aren't the same as black women.
Oh yeah, you can't tell you would if you came to, like, if you worked a day at my store, because we get people coming with Native cards all the time. You would not fucking be able to tell if I lined up people in front of you and said, pick out of this lineup who is Native, and half of them are Native, and they're all fucking stark white, like whiter than I am. You had no fucking idea.
Or Mexican.
Or Mexican.
Man, if you line up a Native beside a Mexican, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
No clue.
Yeah.
No clue.
Well, I asked that because one of the things that I remember hearing about, this was years ago, in regards to some of the topics that have always stood out to me, was Bill C-51, and John the Other was the first person who broke that because he's a Canadian. And I remember hearing, when something like you hear it and you go, wait, what? And you kind of take that pause, and you go, let me kind of dig into that. And John the Other talked about Bill C-51 and its effects on dating and relationships, and obviously even your hookup culture, right? All of it was affected. And I started to do a little digging. I'm like, oh, this is horrible. And I'm seeing it's like some of those same basic types of policies
for the prostitutes or whatever.
No. So Bill C-51
I believe
was
it's the misgendering one, the one that Jordan Peterson was going on about. Is that the one, Drex?
No, it's the one where it's the ultimate Me Too trump card, right? So you have to give up your evidence as the defense to the prosecution, right? The Crown prosecution, right? So what's happening is you
also couldn't use one of the things that
no
also
photos
changed is
in text and all the stuff that would exonerate you.
You also couldn't bring in her previous sexual history to prove that she's a whore.
None of this stuff. Like so what it boils down to is it's everything that would exonerate you. Literally everything that could exonerate you. They're like, you can't use that. So Chris, if someone accused you, right, and then your phone has all the pictures, the text, and everything, and you're thinking like, oh, well, this clearly proves my innocence, right? Wrong. You have to give that over to the prosecution so that you already know how this is going to work. They're just going to formulate a new story around the evidence you just gave them, right? So why do you have videos with this person? Oh, it's because they held a gun to my head. You can't see that part. All right, what do you have to say to that? It's like,
Drex.
Yeah, I was pressured.
It's whatever they want to believe. It's whatever they want to believe.
Anything. Yeah, it's gotten so bad. So I was just curious to know how dating is in Canada now.
Oh, dating is a fucking nightmare. It's a joke. I mean, like, no word of a lie. Like, I don't even care to date anymore. Like, it's been that way for a very long time for a number of reasons. But like, I've had a situation where someone tried to twist that into this was a sexual assault, blah blah blah, and then it proved out that it was not correct. I mean, I still I got alienated from my hobbies about it and all that shit, and that person still went to them, and then years later I find out that they pulled it on 3 other people and still haven't been banned. They know, they just don't want to. They just don't want to know. They just don't care about the reality behind it.
Yeah.
So by the way, Drex, advice for the future: you got to learn what these bills. You have to say the name of the bills because C-17, C-51. Every time there's a new legislative session, they restart the numbers. There's like 30 some bill ones.
Yeah. Okay, the way that you guys draft bills is different than America, right? Like, so we have, you have a bill, you have a section, you have an article. You know what I'm saying?
You have to mush it up into pre-chewed portions for us.
Just the name, right?
That's why I just call it like the Me Too bill, right? So when I say bill, like because it's like when it's basically it's the article within said bill, because one of the things that, Chris, I think you and I talked about that even when I was on your show, and I think I asked the question, or maybe it was offline, where we talked about it was like, yo, Chris, it's getting real bad. Because I tell guys like Nick this all the time. I go, Nick, you're married and living in the middle of nowhere. You don't know how bad it is out here, man. I go, all these people who are going like, no, well, what should I do about dating? Because Nick gets those super chats that come in, right, where guys start asking those questions. I'm like, do you guys know how bad it is?
It's bad.
Yeah, I'm always, Chris. Do you ever find yourself a bit taken back in disbelief when people are like still trying to believe that it's like 1953, right? They're like, oh, I'm just gonna go date this.
Yeah, it's like a desperation to get back to what was.
Yeah, don't you find that bizarre? Like,
it's not going back though.
It's not,
because
it's like they won't accept it.
You can take the ugliest motherfucker on the planet right now, right? If that is a like a cisgender female, the ugliest motherfucker on the face of the planet that's a biological woman, and she will still have suitors, 100%.
Absolutely, yep,
100%. And like the funny part is like she'll not want the people that come after her. She'll want like the fucking Brad Pitts of the world, right? She'll want the everything else like that. But it's like that with every single person. Like it's almost like I don't understand, because it's been years since I've been a fucking teenager. I don't know what it's like growing up from like fucking age 5 to age 10 to age 15 anymore. So I don't know like what that fucking world is, where kids are learning that they can use their bodies to get what they want, because that's what's happening now. And you see it all the fucking time, where you have kids that are like, even young people or younger people, when they're hitting 20 or 25, they don't want the fucking, like, they don't want whatever's in their fucking backyard. They want, the attention of, Simp Master 69 on fucking OnlyFans, like, getting all of these like friggin' pictures from random men, etc. They want that. They want that lifestyle. They don't want like the fucking dude in their backyard. Like,
correct.
Dating is such a fucking hard thing to do right now, because the standards have been set by the internet, and you can't compete with the fucking internet. I'm sorry.
Well, it's funny you say that, because one of the things that ends up happening that I explain to these guys, I go, you're competing not against, it goes back to what you said. You're not competing against your school, your town, you're literally competing against the world. So
absolutely,
girls are getting flown out, and I've told this to guys, Chris, and they're like, "No, Drexel's not like that." I said, "Dude, it is like that. A lot of these girls are monetized," which goes back to what you said, Chris. They're monetized, whether it be on OnlyFans, Snapchat Premium, Seeking Arrangement. Like, and I've told guys about this, and there's people out there still not believing me. I said, "Look, man, I said something on Nick's stream this past week where I said, in the very near future, and Chris, I'm sure you've seen this, all interactions, especially of the sexual nature between men and women, are going to be completely transactional."
Oh, absolutely.
It'll literally be like when someone says, "Hey, Chris, you're on," let's say, I don't know if you guys have Angie's List up there, but like if someone says, "Hey, how much to, get this card or, the auto job done or something," right?
Yeah.
You have, because of the internet, you have lots of suitors. Remember back in the day, you just went to whoever the mechanic was in your town. Now you go like this: let me find the best deal. That's going to be the new norm in interpersonal relationships.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's going to be a disturbing trend that I don't think a lot of people understand, because
it's already here.
Yeah.
It's already here.
It is here now, but like I think it's going to go to the extreme within the next 5 years, man. Like extreme. Because have you noticed, Chris, from a social and societal level, we're like moving at hyperspeed, right? Like toward the bottom. Like whereas if you were if I were to give someone like a glimpse into like a step by step, right? Like, hey, here's let's say 1940 to 1950. You say, okay, 1950 to 60. Okay, 1967. Like it's fairly slow, right? It's a fairly slow decline, right? Mm-hmm. Like certain things got a little better, certain things got a little worse, but it's still very slow.
Oh yeah.
Chris, even 10 years ago, 2011, this whole woke nonsense and cancel culture was not nearly at this level.
Well, the funny part is this, we see it come and go in waves, right?
Yep.
And like in the 90s, we had the big censorship push, and the 90s just said fuck off, and then eventually just went away for a while. Now, isn't it funny though? In the past 10, 15 years, we're seeing more and more and more puritanism of like the pearl clutching of like, oh my god, how could you even think about touching a woman's boob? Oh my god, like how could you even think of saying the word? Like it is gone so ridiculous to the point where people are being shamed for just natural things. Like there is a war to control like basic urges now, like just basic like, oh you got an erection from looking at a woman, well you have to go to jail now because you're a rapist. Like it doesn't make sense, because like it seems like people in general, and a lot of people seem all too fucking keen to do it, just really are throwing this fucking puritanism at everyone and saying this is how it has to be, and like women are above all and they're sacred and you can't touch them, you can't even think about them, but buy our stuff on OnlyFans, buy it only from me.
The contradiction, right? And the hypocrisy is so in your face, because and you're starting to see a lot of women making YouTube videos now and TikTok videos.
Yeah.
Like, where are the men? How come men aren't approaching? And they're like, yeah. You demonize them so much, they just checked out, right? And they said, yeah, we're good. And the reason why I say that's such a big deal, Chris, is that you and I were talking before the stream. Where do you feel, as a trans person, where do you get the most hate and where do you get the most love from?
The most hate absolutely is from cisgendered women. 100%. I cannot tell you how much cisgender women try to sabotage, try to use, try to attack, try to abuse. Like it is a fucking, like it is light years. It is insane. Like I never, and I've seen it before, because like I was like relatively in the mix when the LGBT movement was like a big thing, when they were pushing for the equality of gay marriage. And back then there was a huge war between gay men and lesbians. And when the bisexuals were included under the rainbow umbrella, lesbians fucking lost their fucking mind. Like they would go after women who called themselves bisexual, saying that they were self-hating, saying that they didn't really know, like they're not really lesbians, they're not really bisexual, blah 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 blah. They would attack them. And it's like you don't see that same thing from men. You don't see that same side from gay men. Like you don't see that same side from cisgender men in terms of going after trans individuals. Like the most you see are people who are spooked by by anything that damages their masculinity. Like, oh my god, how could I have been tricked into sleeping with a man? Blah blah blah. Like you see that shit in the news, but that's not the normal thing, right? Like most men don't fucking care. Like they see a trans person, they don't fucking care. Like you get the odd like wackadoo that likes to say something because they are lonely in life, whatever. But for the vast majority of things, most men are pretty respectful, because at the end of the day, you're not shitting in their fucking food dish, and for a large portion of it, you're not competition to men if you're a trans woman.
True.
So they don't care.
Chris, you know what I find funny about that when you talk about the competition is, have you found that it was men, cis men, there's all these terms out. When you say men, we're just referring to cis men, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to men, did you find that they seem to be more like empathetic, like trying to understand where you were coming from?
Some do. I mean, like it's better now. When it first, when it first became like a introductory into the mainstream, it was very much an old hat, or like an old school thing of like, well, this is weird. Everyone, it's all super weird. Like usually how men like normally process things, right? Takes a little bit of time for them to get it under them, and then like once they understand it, it's like, oh, okay, that's what it is. Oh, fine, whatever. It's not a big deal. But like, yeah, like I would say like now there's a lot more men that try to be understanding or try to work through that and get to an understanding. Whereas when you deal with women, it's very much a superficial understanding. Like I don't even know how to explain this coherently. Like when you're talking about women, right? Because like myself being pansexual, I don't really care. I'll date whoever. But there are some women out there that claim to be bisexual, some women out there that claim to be lesbians, right?
Don't exist, but go ahead.
they don't actually believe that, right? Because and I'm not saying this. I'm not saying this. Like, I'll use an example. So there are women out there that say that go up to a trans woman and say, like, a lot of women be automatically without even questioning, oh, you're a woman, don't worry about it, you're a woman, blah 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 blah, right? They'll say it over and over and over again. But the second that a trans woman hits on them, even if they're bisexual or a lesbian, I'm just not into that. All of a sudden, you're not really a woman to them anymore. So the entire time they've been lying to your face.
Yep.
They think you're a woman until, like, that's. I can't
Chris,
say the same about men.
I can tell you I can tell you an exact parallel from the man's perspective, right? So you see this in the red pill community.
Yeah.
A guy says, you know what, Chris? All the games that they're playing out here and all the rules and the laws and everything, it's too much, right? It's gotten silly. So you know what, Chris? I'm going to check out, right?
Yeah.
The same women who would be quick to call you, transphobe and everything else if you say that you're not okay with drag queen story hour or something, right? And they'll say, oh my God, you're transphobic. This is what's funny. The moment you reject these women, and this kind of goes to what you just said, these are do you know what the first insult they throw at all men when men reject them? You know what the first thing they say? They call you gay. It's the first insult. So the same women that are all, I support, you guys need to stop being homophobic and transphobic, blah, 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 blah. The first insult, they always go after, they're going to start saying, you're gay, you have small dick energy, who hurt you? Yeah, all these things.
Who hurt you, yeah.
And so, Crest, the funny thing is, as a trans person, have you noticed that you never had guys do the whole who hurt you thing?
Oh, absolutely.
Never. Because you and I have talked online and offline, and when we talk, we just talk as people. Yes, there are going to be things that you and I strongly disagree with, which I actually have a little star for one of my very favorite topics that you just touched on, which of course you and I have a very we're on polar opposite ends, and that big thing that I think it's the one thing that I think if the cis male population and the trans, especially male to female trans population, if they can finally come to terms with this one thing, I believe, and you and I have talked about this, that cis men and trans women are natural allies because they are hated the most by women, the feminazis.
Oh,
right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So it's like all that I've always said this. I said, Chris, there has to be an understanding for this one thing. And when you talk, when you hear women, this is who says it the most, it's women. Stop trans hate because trans women are beaten sometimes to death by these evil men. And then I go, hold on, give me the context.
Yeah.
In Cress, already know the context. The whole issue, and it'd be great for us to address this, which is, should you or shouldn't you tell a guy in terms of your whether your sex, sexuality, gender assignment, whatever, just should you tell them about the whole trans thing if you are talking to a cis, let's say heterosexual man, a man who's attracted to women / the female form? Because remember, you saw Miss Nevada, right? Miss Nevada I would argue, could fool every guy. I don't know any guy that would looked at Miss Nevada, who was the first trans winner of Miss America pageant, or Miss Nevada, same thing. It's the same award. I don't know any guy who could look at if no one told you, just said, "What do you think of this chick?" I don't know any guy who would have been like, "Oh, that's clearly a dude." You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%.
So that begs the question. So, Cress, should you or shouldn't you relay that information to a man that you're talking to?
I think if you're going to have any sort of relationship with that person, I mean, like, friendship is a different thing. I'm talking about physical relationship, emotional relationship. If your intent is to have any sort of relation with that individual, you got to be upfront with them. That's with anything, though. That's like, like if you're looking at having a meaningful relationship with somebody, like maybe you should tell them that you're part of a cult. Maybe.
Mm-hmm. Need
Maybe
to know
they want to
information.
know about that.
Yeah, you would argue, Chris, that anything that is pertinent information, right? That can alter something. That person has a right to know, right? Because here's the thing: you always hear these things that the feminists say about consent, right? Consent this, consent that. Yeah. Well, one of the things about consent is that both parties need to be fully aware of what they're getting into, right?
Exactly.
So if I actually had this argument with Becca the Ass Wrecker, and she took the stance that I expected her to take, which is what most women take, which is the whole they start calling you as a man, they start saying that men are insecure with their sexuality, blah blah blah, and I said, hold on now, and you can always show that women lack empathy, because when you ask them, you say, let me get this straight, you bash the guy for saying, hey, that I'm not into, the trans women. And so, if I need to know that information so I can say, hey, you're cool. I thought I was getting into something else, but hey, I'm out, because that's not what I do. Right. And then they'll bash you for that. Right. And then I go, hold on now. So she said she's making this thing that the guy is in the wrong. Right. It shouldn't matter. Blah, blah, blah. I said, hold on now.
Let's check. Let's
same logic.
Context for a moment, because
go ahead. Yep.
Let's change it. Let's just change it to something similar, but equally questionably moral. What if you were to make a really nice dinner, have you have your Islamic friend over or whatever, they're devout to whatever that thing is, whatever, I don't know what the hell it's called, Islam, whatever.
Islam, yep.
And then you make up this really beautiful dinner, but then you hide pork throughout, and you hide non-kosher shit in the food, and you feed it to them, and you tell them after, haha, I fed you non-kosher items. That wouldn't
be... kosher is Jewish, halal is Muslim.
There you go. Halal. Yeah. I fed you non-halal items. Haha. It's the same sort of
it's the same, right? Here's the thing though, Chris. Sort of why is it such a big deal?
They would fucking kill you.
Yeah, so Chris, if he snaps on you, right? And he or them or they get up there and they start, actually doing bodily harm or eating you, right? And then someone goes, well, why did this person do that? Imagine, now this is true, Chris. They would blame the cook, right?
Oh, absolutely.
How dare you? How their religion, and that's a huge deal. So do you notice the one type of person on this earth that no one cares about how they feel and their perspective is cis men? Because I told Becca the Ass Wreck, I said, Becca, let me ask you this. That would be like saying a rapist saying, hey, I wanted the sex, and hey, you're clearly sexually active, random woman, so I just took it because you said you like it aggressive. And studies show, and this is actually true, studies show that at the low end, it's 40% of women have a grape fantasy, right? That's the low end.
We love rap artists.
Yeah. So what is happening is you start to criticize that. You say, let me get this straight. So if the rapist sits there and says, well, hey, it's what I want, right? Because that's no different than the cook, right? And I said, exactly. I asked Becca, Becca, and I talked to Mr. Ghetto Gaggers himself about this with the porno industry. They're trying to say now that you have to shoot HIV positive performers, right? And now, Chris, wouldn't you say that's need to know information, right?
Absolutely.
Now, what if someone said, no, what does it matter, Chris? Aren't you attracted to him? It's like, that doesn't matter. But that's what. Okay, I want the trans community to understand. That's how it feels to be a man. You feel like you got hoodwinked, you got bamboozled. Because I'm like, look, if I thought you were a genetic woman, right, a natural born woman, and that's what I'm into, and I feel like I got duped, that is the equivalent of someone going like this. Hey, Chris, you want to hook up? And then you hook up and like, oh, by the way, I got AIDS. Yeah, full blown AIDS, not HIV positive. Full blown.
But they do it on purpose too. It's like you just turn the safety off at that point.
Yeah, and Chris, like the fact that everyone's, look, everyone has an issue with the trans community. They say, okay, this is wrong. That you shouldn't hit trans people. You shouldn't do X, Y, and Z. Everyone goes down the line, but the one group that they always put the responsibility on and say you're in the wrong. It's the dude. They're going you hear these stories about the whole stop trans hate, but I'm like, look. If you are a trans person, I would argue that is need to know information if you're dealing with a guy who thinks you're a woman. because that's not fair to him.
If there is like any indication that it's going downtown, like you should disclose that information before anything at all. Like
or you end up on a Thad story, like what happened to me.
Yeah.
Because Chris,
I like how you keep bringing up ghetto gaggers as if it's a real person.
Well, it's one of the things that I find funny though, Chris, is that it's like, why do you think the cis male community and the trans male to female in particular, why do you think they have like they can't get over this issue? Like, what do you think is stopping this issue from finally just being cracked? So like, because both
it goes back to what I was saying before. It's and we talked about the word toxic, and it's so funny, but it's literally toxic positivity. It's a lot of women that just automatically throw superficial support behind trans women because they want to. Like, I don't know if it's at this point I don't know, but I'm pretty sure if it's maliciously done to take them away from being supported by men, but showing like, oh, we're so supportive, we'll support you through anything. And it's that toxic positivity and constantly just being like, oh no, it's okay. You're not doing anything wrong. Everything is perfectly okay. No, definitely put that color in your hair. Shave off half of your fucking head. Go ahead. No, you look so great. You look awesome. Meanwhile, they're doing it to fucking sabotage the trans individuals. But the trans people just see, oh, we're getting so much support. We're getting all this love from these people, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, it's being done to, and like you said earlier, women know that the advice that they're getting from older women is to sabotage them, but they do it anyways.
Chris, it bothers me so much, right? Because as you and I talked about this, I'm like, Chris, and TFM has talked about this at length. He was like, the trans community and the cis male community are the biggest natural allies that just, it's like they can't get out of their own way. It's so obvious. It's obvious to me. Chris, watch this. So women have been going after you the hardest, right? Your community, right?
100%.
Okay, everyone knows this, right? It's not dudes. Okay, so watch this. Who goes after men the most? It's not the trans community. You guys aren't walking around going, we hate you. Yes, there's going to be an incident here and there, right? But it's overwhelmingly women bashing straight men and women bashing the trans women, right? So why can't there be? And you and I talked about this. I can't remember if we talked about this on the Knuckleheads or offline, where we said, "Look, Chris, imagine if the cis male community and the trans community made a truce, and they go like this: Look, stop with all the identity politics woke stuff, right? Like walking in, oh, I'm so offended. Okay, we gotta have like ground rules, right?" Yeah. We, as the cis male community, agree to give you protection, trans community, right? Mm-hmm. And then you agree to go to bat for us, because remember, we're going to get canceled, right? If we say or do anything. So the only people on the that are rank higher on the intersectional, they call it stacking, right? The whole, the victimhood ladder, right? The victimhood Olympics. You guys will always rank higher than women, because so Chris, let's say you got into an issue, an altercation at work. By definition of intersectional feminism, you are in the right because you are more oppressed, right?
Yeah.
Because think about it. Because if you say, "Oh, transphobic is a worse word than misogyny," you see what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely.
That's why, if you notice, women are so afraid to speak out against trans when it comes to in the Olympics and everything, because they're like, ugh. Because that's what they were the ones, like you said, right? They were the toxic positivity, right? Yes, and you bad men, you guys are so transphobic. So all of a sudden, when the trans women say, "Okay, we're going to compete in your sports," well, no, you don't get to use our bathroom or compete in our sports or take our men.
All of a sudden, they're not women anymore.
All of a sudden, they're not women. Remember, remember what they said: trans women are real women, right? Until you go after the men or the resources or the attention, right? Suddenly, you aren't. And I've always said, look, Chris, I have always said the trans community, right? Like one of the issues that I always had was I went like this. Trans women go out there and get men that the society would assume are heterosexual, right? That's very well known, right?
I'll be 1 second. I have to grab a fly swatter. There's like fucking 3 flies in here, and I gotta.
Oof. Tim, we have this society that's gotten so far gone that like they don't know what's what anymore. And now, if you notice, everyone's starting to kind of collapse on each other, right? It's starting to unravel because who do you side with, right? Oh, we hate men. And then men just say, okay, we're not going to be part of the game anymore. And then the women basically go after that's why if you notice, it is women going after trans athletes throughout the Olympics. It's not men. You don't see a bunch of articles written by dudes saying these women can't be in the Olympics competing as women. There's a few guys saying that, actual athletes, but like overwhelmingly, it's women going after trans women.
By the way,
dudes.
Canada created the first trans Olympian to win a gold medal.
Like I said, created.
Yeah, because these are created humans, right?
I just think it's great. Look, I fully support the trans community because I already know it's all a hoax. The whole thing about no.
Okay, the headline was nice, but in reality, it was just a non-binary, born a woman soccer player who won gold with the women's soccer team. You know, because what's her name? Megan Rapinoe? Yeah. Because Megan Rapinoe was too busy taking a knee in order instead of scoring goals.
Of course. Well, it's a great thing to see because Megan is a terrible human being, if indeed that creature is even human. I mean, it looks like Joe Biden with pink hair or purple hair. Nick.
We got our art for next week.
Yeah.
Nick, are you in here?
If you pull up a picture of Megan, it does indeed look like Joe Biden. No question. And it's great because here's the thing. And and that's like the other thing that we have to also agree on is to stop with the trans kids thing, right? Here's the thing. Once straight men and trans women create these ground rules and say, hey, this is going to be our truce, you will see the entire system collapse on itself because now the people at the top of the pyramid for the oppression Olympics and the people at the bottom are working in tandem. That's how you get rid of all this stuff. Representation. And every time women guys say whatever they want, and then there's the trans community standing behind the dudes. And they say, oh, hold on, we stand with them. It's like, ooh. That's how you stop it, man. It's so simple, but it's like, you know how people are. That's all you know how people are, man.
Oh,
and that part is sad.
What a great show. We had a great show today.
Cress is great. I mean, still out there trying to kill a fly. That's actually the device that has not been created yet. Something that can quickly suck in and kill flies, right?
Isn't it a vacuum cleaner?
Well, it doesn't work.
Oh, of course, Ken's in here.
Ken
trolling.
If my 2-year-old wants hormones and surgery, they should get it.
Not only should they get it, but Drex, you should pay for it.
Yeah, right? Yeah, that's the lunacy. The flat out lunacy, man. It's like you listen to these people like, are you serious, bruh? Like, come on, man. But
sorry, I'll be 1 second.
It's the truth. Hey, Cress is back.
It's gonna be 1 second, sorry.
Assault shotgun. Oh yeah.
That fucking scene from The Exorcist when like all the fucking flies are just like coming out of nowhere. Yeah. Got that going on right now.
I hate flies. Flies and mosquitoes, 2 things I hate more than anything in the world.
That the flies represent our dead hopes and dreams that will ever end this damn lockdown.
Yeah, Cress Cooper said it's time to buy a salt shotgun.
Wait, an assault shotgun?
No, salt shotgun.
Oh. I prefer the assault shotgun.
Yeah, not against flies though.
Sorry, 1 second. I think I got one more left. I had a fucking knockout.
Oh yeah, in the barbecue. Dude, here's the thing. When you live in a place like Arizona or Vegas and don't have to ever deal with that, it's the best. It's like the most rewarding feeling you could ever imagine. Like by not being in a place with humidity and all that, it feels just beautiful. You're like, my daughter made that comment. We were in Vegas years ago. She was a young kid, And she's like, Dad, there's no bugs in here. And I was like, yep, it's because we're in the middle of the desert. And she loved it. I mean, to be outside at night and knowing I don't have to worry about mosquitoes and flies. Like, yeah, you can say, oh, what about the scorpions? I'd rather deal with scorpions than mosquitoes and flies because there's not that damn many, especially when you're on the strip, in the middle of the strip like that with, people and cars moving.
I wonder if that's on purpose. They like spray some chemicals in the air that turn all the frogs gay.
I need to go back to Vegas. Yeah, well, speaking of Disneyland, Crest, did you hear about that whole issue where it was like 15 dudes who were Disney employees got busted? Some kind of like sex ring stuff?
I didn't hear about that, no.
Yeah, I mean, that surprised literally nobody, right?
All right, Jesus Christ. I think I got them all. Holy fuck.
Poor thing. Oh,
I swear to God, like it was like 15 flies just out of nowhere.
Yeah, my brother was in Iraq, and he said that's how it was. He said there were so many flies you couldn't see. He said it looked like the old TVs, the old CRV TVs where you had like that static screen. He said that's what it looked like with flies. He said it was that many flies out there, man.
Man, I knew Iraq was a shithole, but that's kind of overdoing it a little.
Oh, dude, it was awful.
It started with one in my fucking room, and like I went to go get the fly swatter, and then like a fucking 10 and 12 of them just popped out of nowhere.
Well, anyways, do we have any closing thoughts?
Oh, we do. We have two closing thoughts. The first closing thought is, Cress, what is your take? When I was talking about the truce, one of the things I think needs to be addressed is the push for trans kids because they're still children and they don't know what's what, right? And what do you think the trans community can do about that? Like, do you think that there needs to be more people speaking out against that?
Before you answer that, isn't that similar to the Chris Chan situation? Like you're trying to ascribe gender dysphoria to people who have no fucking idea what that means.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean that's my issue with it.
The problem with it is right now in society we don't have a way to determine that other than someone saying that yes I am that. Like we have like questionnaires and we have guesstimations and all that shit, but it's like there's no fucking silver bullet to determine if someone is trans or not. And oftentimes, a lot of these anxieties and shit are just comorbidities of like bigger issues like dissociative identity disorder, other personality disorders like bipolar, ADHD, anxiety, autism. Borderline. These are comorbidities. And how do we split that up by being like, okay, well, this is something that you actually deal with as opposed to this is a symptom of what you're suffering. So it's a problem there. And I don't think I knew, it's like looking back, I knew as young as 7 years old that I was trans, but I didn't understand what that meant until I was 25. I didn't make the choice to transition until I was 29. So like that's a problem. Because like someone who is within sound mind, someone who is understanding all of these things, like I knew that like way back then, but I didn't have a way or a system to tell me that that's what it was. So like,
do you see that as a slippery slope, Cress? Where like in one hand, the way things are now, they would have gotten you to your conclusion quicker. But on the flip side, the way things are now, which goes back to what you just said, there's going to be people who are going to get pushed into that shouldn't be because it's just something else. And do you feel that that's the reason why there's such a high suicide rate and a detransition rate with a lot of trans people?
100%, because it goes back to what we were talking about with the toxic positivity, right? It's like, oh, well, we know you better than you do. You should do this because you're going to feel free, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, you have to figure out as an individual, as a person on an individual basis, you know yourself better than anybody else, really. So when it comes down to people in terms of the suicide, they're not committing suicide because they're trans. They're committing suicide because of other issues that they're not treating and that they're not fixing, because they're being told that turning trans is a fucking magical girl transformation, that it's a fucking magical pill, that if you take it, you're going to turn into this like fucking 4'5" fucking Asian super princess. It doesn't work that way. Like when you go to doctors, like most of the doctors should do this, but they don't, which is the unfortunate part because a lot of them have been fucking gagged by bullshit Karens out there, a lot of them should be saying, it's like, look, you're 6'5", 400 pounds. Like, you cannot become a 5'10", 100-pound woman. Like, that's not possible. You have to be realistic about what you're expecting about this. And so when you have that paired up with the expectation that, well, if I just take a pill, everything's going to be okay. And then when you take the pill and not everything is okay, or you take the pill in transition and you don't turn out exactly what you think you're going to turn out as, then you're dealing with something greater than that. And that's not because of being trans. That's because of people not understanding mental health properly.
I wonder if VR could fix this. If there was a way to like live in VR to like test out your new body.
Well, that's why like Second Life is such a huge thing still.
Wait, what is Second Life?
It's literally what it sounds like. It's a computer simulation where you live the life of your avatar.
Oh.
Yeah, except everyone would make their avatar a 6'5" white guy with a ton of money.
Exactly.
Well, the reason why that's crazy to me, Chris, is because, you know, and I want your take on this.
Fucking flies, dude.
The issue of society is not going to just accept you because that's how you accept yourself. You see what I'm saying? Because so like what you just said, right? Let's say someone is very unapologetically masculine presenting, right? They look like a straight up dude, right?
Yeah.
Okay, no amount of surgery or X, Y, and Z is going to make people go like this. That's clearly a woman. Like you know, we put up a picture of the person who was up in with the comic book store guy, right?
Yeah.
And no one's going to look at that person and be like, "Oh yeah, you're clearly a woman." No, because like you said, it's going to look ridiculous when you're 6'5" with broad shoulders and you look like, you know, you have a Arnold Schwarzenegger's jawline. And then now you're like, oh no, I'm a woman. It's like, that's why the whole "it's ma'am" GameStop thing
went
viral. Yeah, because it looked ridiculous. You see what I'm saying? Like when you're telling somebody, I am a woman, and people are looking at you like, but dude, I'm looking right at you. Nothing about you looks feminine. You look like a dude who it'd be like me just throwing on a wig, right? It looks ridiculous.
Well, it's one of those things, like, you have to be, number one, you have to be realistic. Number two, you also have to realize that there are plenty of cisgender people out there that don't look like this, like look like the gender they were born as. I know plenty of womb-having women, like born and stayed women, that look, you would swear they're a fucking man, like just by looking at them.
Wait, what?
You would swear it.
You did hear about the controversy at the Olympics, right? That they were talking about the and of course it was the black athletes, right? The black women.
Oh, yeah,
they were like,
the one where
we demand a sex
tested.
Yeah, we demand, because dude, now, Chris, be honest.
Like,
you saw the pictures.
Like, can I just step on the fucking racism train for a moment? Can anybody with a straight face fucking say that a Kenyan runner should be tested for not being like, the Jesus Christ, how many fucking world records are from Kenyan runners? Like, come on. Question it, please. Yeah, because the white person didn't win fucking gold. Give me a break. Fuck out of here. Jesus Christ, a fucking Kenyan infant could outrun fucking most people in North America.
Isn't that crazy? Like, they literally have like the goal for like the last like 5,000 years. Like, damn. I mean, but look, we got to be honest though, Chris. That jawline does look strong right there. That does look like that looks like a bruh moment.
It does, but it also looks like a black woman.
Well, hold on, Chris. We talked about this. They're not women. Isn't that, Chris? You see that picture right there? Semenya. I mean, the emphasis on the semen. So clearly, that looks like a dude. That's a bra moment, right? You would see if Semenya walked up.
I would not be surprised if she literally has a womb. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. It would not surprise me. Like, the thing is here is like, this is one thing that I got over a very long time ago, is that there are a lot of women that look a fucking lot like men, like that look more manly. Jesus Christ, look at the fucking Ron Toye. He looks more like a woman than most men do. But like, the point here is, if you slap a beard on some cisgender women, and they're gonna look like dudes. And like, similar, you shave the fucking baby fuzz off of some men, and they're gonna look like women. Like, that's just the way it is. and so many people are wrapped up in looking like a fantasy when they transition. They what the fuck is going on in there?
And I'm
right
assuming
now?
they typically fail miserably.
Did you
my
know
God.
if Hitler was trans? If you're trans, you're supporting Hitler.
Well, there you go.
Well, Chris, I will leave you out with a nice, smooth topic. I got to ask the question: how did it feel roasting one Nick Rekieta?
Oh man, I wish I could have. I wish I could have.
You set up the stuff to roast him.
I set up
You
the
got
stuff
the
to
dirty
roast
facts.
him, and I wasn't expecting the fucking wild card called Spirit Junior.
Mm-hmm.
The fat black retarded man that comes in and just can't fucking stop, and he's a fucking Lil Jon Love, like Volume 11 constantly. Jesus Christ! Like we were gonna roast him, but no one could talk. No one was allowed to talk.
That's awful. Like, what is a good roast without everyone being able to roast, right? Like that's the whole point.
Exactly.
I would say, Drex, we had the best. We have had the best roast of Nick Rekieta because we had him on our show to do bonus episode 1 right after he did his thought stream, and we roasted him greatly for that.
Yeah, I mean, I actually stopped talking to Nick for like at least like a week after that. I was like, yeah, I don't know that guy. Hey, is this your lawyer friend? Who?
No, doesn't exist.
you gotta not claim him for a while until like the dust settles over. And once that blows over, then you
What
go
is
back
that,
over
Nick
there.
Rekieta?
Yeah. Who?
Yeah. Unfortunately, our roast got interrupted by a large black man who couldn't stop talking. So
Basically,
it
a male
wasn't
version of a
Drexel,
German Shepherd.
unfortunately. It wasn't Drexel. So
Yeah, I wanted to go there too. That was crazy. I remember. I think I was busy like working or doing something. But I wanted to be at that. That was in that was Toronto, right?
it was in Kitchener,
Yeah. Okay.
near Toronto, but pretty much.
God bless Canada. You know, Chris. Here's the thing. Can you tell somebody something about Canada they may not know, or some reason why they should go? Because you know, you guys get shit on by literally everybody, right? You guys like the redheaded stepchild of the world.
Oh Jesus. We got really good. We got really good fucking poutine. Like we got really good food. There's so much food in Canada that like we take for granted that is not in the rest of the fucking world. Like, you know, butter tarts. Like, when someone brought Nick butter tarts at Kitchener Comic Con, he was just like so thankful, and he's like, have you guys tried these? These are amazing. It's like, yeah, they're butter tarts. And he's like, what? Like, yeah, we get them here all the time. Apparently, they're little mini pecan pies, like little mini pecan pies. They're just like like bite sized. And apparently, like you guys don't have them in the States. I don't know why.
Well, now, Chris, I got to tell you though. I don't know if you know, but
Yeah, those are them.
up,
Those are them.
Oh yeah. They do the little pecan
Little
pies.
butter tarts.
Now, Chris, coming up in exactly like 2.5 weeks is the event to end all events, which is the Minnesota State Fair. And I'm sure you've heard how degenerate the Minnesota State Fair is, right?
Hang on, Drex. You are under generalizing. Just remove Minnesota from that statement. It's still true.
Oh no. Like, here's the thing: other people have state fairs, right? And you'll go to theirs and go, hey, Chris, so how is the state fair over here, over there? You'll go, yeah, it was all right.
I don't know if anyone's ever said that ever.
Minnesota's because you remember most people say fair it's just a fair. It's like it's a fair.
Well, I guess Calgary
it's an
Stampede
event.
would be our version of a state fair.
Correct. Yeah. Calgary Stampede. Yeah, that would be your equivalent. So like in Minnesota, it's so over the top. And like you like people will tell you will literally see the best and worst of Minnesota and America. Like Chris, I saw this with my own eyes. Because it's the parking is so bad, it's easier to take the bus, right?
Yeah.
I'm with my daughter. I look over. No shit. There's a chick. She had me about. I'm not joking. $5 to $6, right? Like 600-pound life size, right?
Oh my god!
On those electric scooters, right? Because they hand them out at the fair, right? They literally hand them out because people are so fat. She's scooting up on it. I can't make this up. In one hand, we have a place called Sweet Martha's Cookies, right? And there's a place where you literally fill up on milk, right? A milk station next to the cookie station, right? She has a bucket of Sweet Martha's Cookies and a bucket of cheese curds, right?
Oh my god.
Eating out of both. I can't make this up.
Oh.
She pulls up because so where the buses are, they are next to the porta potties, right? The biffs. Pulls up, gets off. Yeah. So apparently she can't walk, right? But she can walk into the porta potty.
There's one.
I looked. I'm like, are you serious? Like, you see this, you see this lady like
Drexel,
moving on their
Drexel.
machine.
Would you go into that porta potty after her to get rid of the family court?
No. Nope, can't do it. Nope. Because here's the thing, I wouldn't live to see the fruits of my labor. Like I would die, and I wouldn't be able to see what would a family courtless world look like.
Did fucking Bono walk out of there after? Like,
yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Oh God, Crash, you're great. But yeah, if you ever get the chance to come to the Minnesota State Fair, definitely do it. Or if you go to the Texas State Fair, which goes on from the end of September to the end of October. It's great. Like I said, if you're like a food, if you're just a foodie, you just want to eat. And I don't know what it's like up there, but here in Minnesota in particular, everything is deep fried and on a stick, right? Like spaghetti and meatball on a stick. Wait, what?
We're starting to get that at our fairs now. We're starting.
Oh, are you guys getting that? Oh, yeah. Our fair. You know what you should do, Chris? Just Google like Minnesota Fair Food 2021, and you will see the lunacy. It's a literal fat farm. So definitely check it out. I can't wait.
Well, great plug for the Minnesota State Fair. Hashtag not a sponsor. Chris, before we let you go, please plug your stuff. Where can people find you?
All right. Pretty much anywhere. If you're looking for me, you can find me under Crumbrion, which you can see in the Discord right now. On Twitter, it's Darkside Evie. You can find me on Twitter. I pretty much yell at morons online for the most part on Twitter. But yeah, I do my weekly show Knuckleheads on YouTube, so you can check out. I got quite a number of shows under the belt, so you got lots to catch up on if you're behind. So do all that fun stuff.
Nice.
All right, good stuff. Drexel, final thought to you.
Well, I'm just happy that Crest got on because Crest, I believe you were like the first or second show I was ever on.
That's awesome.
Like when I first started, so I hopped
Nick's
on your
was
show.
the first.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Not counting Nick. So not counting Nick. I think Crest might have actually been first, and then Grillcast.
You lost your virginity to Crest.
Yeah. Chris, you know what's coming now. There's going to be lots of memes.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying you were over there pouring maple syrup on the mic real slow.
Oh my god.
It's awful. It's awful how they do me, man.
Chris, we'll have to have you back and just do an episode of Canadianisms.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be super fun.
Honestly, this country is a lot more interesting than everyone else makes it to be.
It really is. It really is. Like honestly, like there's so much about Canada. Like we just take so much for granted. Like the fucking bagged milk here in Ontario, all dressed chips,
the homo milk,
homo milk.
You don't want to give you the Skeletor. What?
I mean, look, I was just cod fishing today. All right. And how many places in America can you say that I took a day trip to go cod fishing?
Exactly. Seriously though. Like, there's a ton of cool stuff around here. Like the place that I live, we have like fucking farmers market like right next to Mennonite country. So we get like the best fucking farmers market shit. Like it's so good out here.
Factory outlet malls are America's gift to the world. That and German Shepherds.
Oh my god.
Well, it's the only way we're going to survive the alien invasion. That's why I'm going to stop being so hard on German Shepherds.
The alien
we need to. What we need to do, Drex, we need to harness the power of the
Yeah,
and it will power our cities for years.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing: they can't be stopped. Chris, I don't know if you know, but Tommy Sotomayor, shout out to him, did a video where this German Shepherd was shot 17 times and lived to tell a tale and went back to doing hairdressing like a week later.
Christ.
17 times.
Fucking 50
I mean, a Canadian hockey goalie got slashed in the throat with a skate, and
that was
he wanted to finish the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was hardcore, man. I remember seeing that, and I had to turn away. I don't like seeing throats being slit. Like, I'm cool with a lot of violence, but not throats. Oh god, look at that fair food. Yeah, dude, I'm gonna be at the fair. I'm going twice. I'm going, Chris. You understand? It's become a meme. Just they type in like fat chick Minnesota State Fair, and you'll see it's disturbing.
Oh yeah, you'll see the ones with the swamp ass so bad. There's like literal flies going around the crack.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Like you'll see it and go, that's just repulsive. But you can't take your eyes off of it.
No, it's like watching a car wreck. It's like, I know people are dying, but I can't take my eyes away.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's a literal train wreck. And you're like, Jesus, this is awful, man.
But now, Drex, no State Fair food for you until we get Duke into the studio.
I know, right? Dude, I'm going to be pumped. I'm going to be like the world's most pumped person. I'm like, finally, we got this guy. We got him.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
All right. Well, thank you again, Chris. Yeah, youtube.com/Crumbion, all that other fun stuff. The Knuckleheads podcast, look it up. Are you on Apple? Are you on like iTunes?
See, here's the funny part, right? I was on iTunes and Spotify and all that stuff. And then I did a couple shows, and then some lunatics cried to Anchor.fm and got my podcast pulled. So I tried contacting them to talk about it, and they ignored me. So I haven't uploaded anything since. So some shows are there, but I'm not uploading anything. I'm not giving money to anybody that fucking ignores me as someone who brings money into them. So
we use Libsyn. It's been really good.
Libsyn?
Yeah.
Oh,
Libsyn.
I'll have to take a look into that one.
Yeah,
Anchor pissed me off by completely ignoring me. So
yeah, because Anchor, I heard from through the Dick Show that Anchor's owned by Spotify.
They are.
So,
and I reached out to them and I asked them, I'm like, okay, well, what's going on? And they're like, oh, it was a violation of our policy. I'm like, what policy? And I'm like, okay, I didn't get an answer back. And I'm like, oh, well, I'd love to speak to someone about this. No answer back. So yeah.
Wait, so did you go full Karen? I'd like to speak to your manager.
Well, I reached out to literally anyone that I could, like even CEO emails, nothing back. So it's like, nah, I'm good not giving money to these assholes. So
yeah. Libsyn's pretty good. The platform's a little old, but I mean, they run. Libsyn's had the Dick Show since day one.
Nice.
He's never had a problem with them. We've never had any issues dealing with them. And I mean, look, there are people who are not fans of our show.
Wait, what?
As you might imagine. But yeah, they're a pleasure to deal with. They're a pleasure to deal with because they just hands off. They just let us do our thing.
That's the way it fucking should be, honestly. Yep. The way it
and
should
of course,
be.
Then Migtown.tv, obviously, Ammer is great for hosting our content.
I love him.
Yeah.
That's another guy we got to get on the show.
I love that he bashes Yogi Obes on every video. Certain content creators just have like that like they have their own like little thing that they have to do. Like in every video, Amr has like certain things he says. He has to bash Yogi Obes, which is pure comedy. He has to talk about being a cab driver in LA, which is also pure comedy. Like he just says certain things that like everyone goes, it's not an Amr video without these, and they have like a little checklist, and I crack up every time.
Well, we're getting that checklist. What would your checklist be? Like your top 4. So talking about German Shepherds.
Bitch made Sims.
Well,
actually, I mean, is that deep fried pizza? That's disturbing. Well, Chris, Lie to Migtown has the best. He has the best
poker or no poker.
Yeah, Chris, I forgot to tell you. Yeah. So, Chris, in terms of poker, no poker, redo of Healer. I'm sure you know the whole poker, no poker.
Oh, Jesus Christ! I've heard about that. I've not watched a minute of it.
No. Wait. Guess we're doing a watch party.
Lorna Simpson puts balls or no balls.
No. That's Nick's thing. Don't take Nick's thing.
No comment.
HMT episode 148. Yep, that's
Oh yeah, Chris.
Oh, my
Yeah,
God.
you're gonna need to hear that at some point. HMT 148, which is the most savage, the most savage HMT.
a
of all
mask
time.
was literally put on.
Yeah, he literally put on the hockey mask and had to go ahead and go full Jason Voorhees
Oh my God.
in the most savage way possible. It's like, oh.
Well, obviously, Darth Lightskin. Obviously, the answer is always that. That's not a real question.
Yeah, Chris, the 11 months of ED.
Goblin amputee. Yeah, that's right. Invader tacked on it,
Chris, goblin amputee porn.
Wow. That's
Bitch made
oddly
Sims,
specific.
German Shepherds, Goblin amputee.
That is oddly specific. Oh my God.
Yeah,
Dirty
thanks for
Dan
coming,
smashing
Chris.
the-
We love it. Yeah, I know. Yeah, Dirty Dan will be around. He's probably smashing a German Shepherd as we speak.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Thank you guys.
Chris, get out of here. It was great. Everyone else listening, you know where to find us. You know how to support us. We don't need to explain this to you every week. Until next time, stay frosty, everyone.
Peace.